So my name is Drew Beckman. I am the Northwestern Illinois field agronomist with Beck's Hybrids. So one thing that I don't know that growers maybe potentially realize when they're looking at a high yielding soybean crop is that a 75 bushel soybean crop when harvested, and we're looking at a crop like that would remove 285 pounds of nitrogen, 60 pounds of actual phosphorus, and 84 pounds of potassium in total. So when we compare that to a 250 bushel corn crop, the only element or nutrient that is removed at higher rates in corn would be phosphorus. We're actually removing more nitrogen and potassium with beans than we would out of a 250 bushel corn crop. And that is just something that when we look at our fertility applications this fall or into next spring, or as we're putting in strips, different things like that, I want growers to be mindful of is when they're, and also looking at soil tests, to say if we need to set up, if our yield expectations is 80, 85, 100 bushel, we need to set up our fertility to support yield levels such as that. I think that one thing that growers don't maybe understand or realize is really how much fertilizer, fertility, nutrients it takes to raise a high yielding soybean crop. And really over time, we've inched up our soybean yields in the state of Illinois as we've done a lot of different cultural practices. So early planting, variety changes, all of these things have led to higher yielding soybeans, but there's also other things that we have to think about when we're removing a 70 to 80 bushel soybean crop, and nobody has really talked about how much fertility it really takes to produce and how much is removed when we have a high yielding crop like that. One of the biggest things that I see is we're getting soybeans planted in some cases in suboptimal conditions, sidewall compaction, different things like that. And we're limiting that root growth. And I think if growers better understood what that plant has to take in later in the season, they would maybe think about some of the choices they make earlier in the season to maybe set it up for success a little bit better. In my territory, for example, in Northwestern Illinois, we have a lot of areas that we're looking at 100 bushel soybeans as a goal, as a pinnacle to what we're trying to do. So when we look at nitrogen removal rates, for example, of 3.8 pounds of nitrogen per bushel of soybeans, that's 380 pounds of actual nitrogen that is being removed with that soybean crop. So that's not even what it's taking up to actually have in the foliar material. That's just what's being removed by that grain. So again, we need to set that plant up for as much success as possible as far as nodulation and all of the different things around that to be able to support that much nitrogen. And that's just one example getting into that plant. Feel free to follow IL Soy Advisor on Facebook and also access data that we have at ilsoyadvisor.com.